Think about the last time you saw someone seemingly struggling with their mental health. Maybe they were talking to themselves on the bus. Maybe they were having an emotional outburst in public. Did you stare? Did you judge? Be honest, it's an uncomfortable question, but a necessary one. Because our reactions, however fleeting, have consequences. When we treat mental illness as a spectacle, we dehumanize those who suffer. We forget their pain is real, their struggles valid. So, are we awful for judging? The answer, unfortunately, isn't so simple. Our brains are wired to notice differences. It's a survival mechanism, a way to quickly assess threats. But this wiring doesn't always serve us well. It can lead to fear of the unknown, of anything that deviates from the norm. And in a society that often stigmatizes mental illness, that fear can easily morph into judgment. We distance ourselves, whispering behind cupped hands. We tell ourselves it's not our problem, but by doing so, are we complicit in their suffering? The answer, more often than not, is a resounding yes. Imagine living with the constant weight of judgment. Every public outing becomes a tightrope walk, every interaction a potential landmine. This is the reality for many living with mental illness, the whispers, the stares, the fear in the eyes of strangers. It all takes a toll. It isolates, it shames, it reinforces feelings of worthlessness. The social implications are far-reaching. Employment becomes a hurdle, relationships become strained, accessing healthcare becomes fraught with anxiety. The fear of judgment prevents individuals from seeking the help they desperately need. This silence, born of societal pressure, can be deafening. It perpetuates a vicious cycle of shame and suffering. And it highlights a fundamental flaw in our collective empathy. We fail to recognize their humanity, their worth. So why do we stare? Why is it so hard to look away? Part of it is, as we've established, our innate curiosity about the different, but there's something deeper at play too. A morbid fascination with the struggles of others. We might tell ourselves we're concerned, that we're simply observing. But often it's a voyeuristic impulse masquerading as empathy. We consume stories of mental illness in the media, often sensationalized and exploitative. We whisper about celebrity breakdowns, reveling in their misfortune. It's a way to feel better about our own struggles, to reinforce the illusion of normalcy. But this consumption comes at a cost. It normalizes judgment, perpetuates harmful stereotypes. It allows us to forget that these are real people with real lives, deserving of our compassion, not our scrutiny. Section 4. Through their eyes, real stories, real pain. Take, for example, the story of Susanna Cahalan. A successful journalist, Susanna was diagnosed with schizophrenia after experiencing a series of increasingly erratic behaviors. She was hospitalized, restrained, and misdiagnosed. Her story, while harrowing, is not unique. Countless individuals with mental illness face similar struggles, their experiences dismissed, their voices silenced. Or consider the case of Daniel Prude. Daniel, a black man experiencing a mental health crisis, died after being restrained by police in Rochester, New York. His death sparked outrage and protests, highlighting the systemic racism and prejudice faced by individuals with mental illness, particularly within the criminal justice system. These stories, while heartbreaking, are crucial. They force us to confront the human cost of judgment, the devastating consequences of our collective inaction. They remind us that these are not just headlines, but real people, deserving of our understanding and support. Section 5. Choosing empathy, the bridge to understanding. So where do we go from here? How do we bridge the chasm of misunderstanding and fear? The answer lies in empathy. It's about challenging our preconceived notions, dismantling the stigma brick by brick. It's about listening to the lived experiences of those with mental illness, understanding their struggles, celebrating their resilience. Education is key. We need to have open, honest conversations about mental health. We need to teach our children about mental illness, not as something to be feared, but as a normal part of the human experience. We need to create a culture of compassion, where seeking help is seen as a sign of strength, not weakness. It's a monumental task, but a necessary one. Section 6. A kinder tomorrow, steps towards acceptance. The good news is change is possible. We've seen it happen with other social justice movements. We can choose to be better, to do better. We can challenge discriminatory language. We can support organizations fighting for the rights of those with mental illness. We can use our voices to advocate for better mental health care access. Every act of kindness, however small, chips away at the wall of stigma. Every conversation, every act of empathy brings us closer to a world where mental illness is met with understanding, not judgment. It won't be easy. There will be setbacks, resistance. But imagine a world where seeking help is as commonplace as seeking help for a physical ailment. Imagine a world where mental illness is no longer shrouded in shame, but met with compassion and support. That's the world we can build together.